wife gets up from the wheelchair and says on the phone, "I'm tired of this wheelchair, but to get my mother-in-law's money, I have to pretend." The maid secretly records a video and says, "I will tell your mother-in-law that you're a fraud." The mother-in-law arrives. The wife quickly sits back on the wheelchair and says, "I feel like I've become a burden on this house." The maid says, "Should I tell you the truth?" The mother-in-law replies, "Instead of doing your work, you're always gossiping." The wife says, "Give me your credit card so I can buy medicine." The mother-in-law hands over her card and says, "I'm going to sleep now." She leaves. The wife says to the maid, "Keep your mouth shut about what you saw." The maid says, "Your mother-in-law treats you so well, don't deceive her." The wife gets up from the chair and says, "This is your last chance. Stay quiet or I'll fire you." The husband enters and says, "First go to the kitchen and do your work. I need to talk to my wife." The maid leaves. The wife says, "Today the maid saw me get up from the wheelchair. She even has a video. She might tell mom." The husband says, "Don't worry about the maid. I'll handle her." He leaves. A few moments later, the mother-in-law is praying in her room. The maid comes in and says, "Your daughter-in-law is a fraud." The mother-in-law replies, "You're lying." The maid says, "I have a video on my phone." The husband enters and snatches the phone. He says, "Go do your work. Don't you realize my mother is old? Don't upset her." The maid leaves. The mother-in-law says, "Son, this maid's words always make me anxious. She's always saying bad things about your wife." The husband says, "I don't know how she makes up these stories. Leave it. I'll comb your hair." He starts brushing her hair and says, "I need $10,000 for my business." The mother-in-law replies, "I only have $5,000 right now. I'll give you the rest later." The husband says, "You're so kind," kisses her forehead, and leaves. The wife tries to transfer funds using the card, but the transaction fails. The maid enters and says, "You're being cruel to the one who helps you." The wife replies, "Stay out of my business." The husband enters. The wife says, "I can't tolerate this maid anymore." She leaves. The maid says, "Your wife is pretending and stealing your mother's money." The husband says, "Shut your mouth or I'll accuse you of theft. We both want to take all of mom's money." The mother-in-law overhears everything. The husband leaves. Next day, the husband calls everyone. The mother-in-law comes and asks, "What happened?" The husband says, "The doctor called and said my wife has an incurable disease. When she heard, she fainted. Now we need to take her abroad for treatment." The mother-in-law looks worried and asks, "How much will it cost?" The husband says, $15,000. The mother-in-law slaps him and says, "Shut your nonsense. I heard everything. You both wanted to steal my money. You're ungrateful." The wife stands up from the chair and says, "I told you earlier to get rid of that maid. Now our plan is ruined." The husband says, "Please forgive us. We made a mistake. We're sorry." The mother-in-law says, "You're not worthy of forgiveness. Get out now." The maid comes in and says, "I always tried to tell you the truth because you are like a mother to me." The husband and wife leave. The maid says, "They will surely pay for their sins." The mother-in-law says, "You're like my daughter," and hugs the maid.